What it do, traveler? So, I am in Kingston, Jamaica, and I think it's time to have a conversation about race. Now, I had decided I was going to build my YouTube channel up or let people get to know me a little better before I had this conversation, but I really feel inspired to have it now because I'm in Jamaica. And Jamaica is my 44th country, but it's my first predominantly black country. So it's kind of strange because everywhere I go, like in Asia, people constantly think that, like, they stare at me like I fell out of the sky. And I always get, like, literally the most ignorant, like, statements said towards me. So here, I was very excited to be somewhere where I can blend in. And it's funny because in some towns, like when there's a lot of tourists and it's a small town and everybody knows everybody, they know I'm not local. Like, they know the moment I walk down the street. But when I'm in Kingston, where no one knows anybody, it's a much bigger town, I have the ability to blend in here. And it's the first time I've ever been able to blend in anywhere, and I love it. So, like yesterday, when I was riding on the bus, and I asked the guy on the bus how much the bus cost, and he did like a double take, and he was like, yo, I thought you were like a local Rasta. And so it's funny about that too, because here in Jamaica, it's like the land of descriptions. So everybody calls you by a description. So I thought, this is actually the first country I've ever been in where nobody called me Bob Marley. Now that's kind of funny because everywhere I go, people just yell at me, Bob Marley, all over the place. So it's really cool being here because no one thinks I look like Bob Marley because they actually know Bob Marley. But I still, like, when they see me, they yell, Rasta, 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 Rasta. And I thought, what the hell? But, you know, there are a lot of worse things they can call me. Like, there's a white girl who works here at this hostel, and she's like a bigger white girl. And apparently everyone yells at her, hey, fluffy white girl, hey, big white girl, hey, big booty white girl. Like, they just yell that at you. And one of my friends, he was telling me, like, it's the same thing. White girl, white girl. And they said there's a cop, he's got like really big jaws, and they call him like chubby jaws. And like one guy has like a flat nose, it looks like this bread here called Bammy, and everyone just calls him Bammy Nose. And like, that's what everyone knows him as. He's gone by that his whole life. Like, they will literally call you by what you look like. So Rasta is, you know, Rastafarian. If you have dreadlocks, you're Rasta. Like, nothing else matters. And so it's pretty cool though, because being here and learning about Bob Marley, I went to the Bob Marley Museum. It's cool because I never knew anything about him, but people have called me Bob Marley since I began growing dreads. It's pretty funny. Once I was in India, and this guy, actually I was with a local friend who I met online, and we're walking near Agra Fort. Agra is where the Taj Mahal is. It's a lot of tourism there. But the tourists that visit there, a lot of them are from small parts of India where they have no tourists. So those people out there will take a picture with you, like, you know, they'll actually get kind of excited to meet a foreigner. So the funny thing is, here I am out here at Agra Fort, and I'm with a local guy. And all of a sudden, everyone starts crowding around me, and people start trying to take a picture with me. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And like, my friend, he's like local, and people in the crowd start going, Bob Marley, Bob Marley, Bob Marley. And he goes, he asked me, he goes, do you know why everyone wants to take a picture with you? I go, yeah, they think I look like Bob Marley, haha, funny. And he was like, no, they think you are Bob Marley. So the word is spreading through the crowd, and everyone's like, no, like they said that. I was like, dude, Bob Marley's dead. He's like, yeah, I know that, you know that, but these people, they haven't looked it up. Like, they have no idea that he's gone. And so the people are crowding around, and they start coming up to me going like, one song, one song, one song. My friend's like, yeah, dude, the word is spreading through the crowd that Bob Marley is here to see the Taj Mahal. So all these people are coming up to meet Bob Marley. So, I mean, it's pretty funny though, because, you know, like I said, that aside, the race thing is the real reason why I wanted to have this conversation. Because everywhere I go, I hear like the craziest stuff. Like, you know, just this last year, I was in Chile, and a guy asked me, he said, he goes, oh, where are you from? And I was like, Las Vegas. And he goes, oh, America. I said, yeah, America. And he goes, so before that, you were born in some part of Africa? And I was like, no, Los Angeles. And he goes, but your parents, they're from Africa? I go, St. Louis, Missouri. He goes, oh, your grandparents? And I said, look, man, black people have been in America over 400 years. Like, we could play this game all day. before we hit Africa. And he goes, oh, so you're just as American as white people. And I was like, now you're catching on, you know? So, I mean, that's kind of the things I get. And I get a lot of the, like, regular plain, like, ignorance. Like, I remember this one girl, she was saying, like, oh, she kept calling me a prisoner. And I'm like, why do you keep calling me a prisoner? She's like, you're from the American prisons, no? And I'm like, no. And then she was like, you have big muscles and long hair. Like, you were from the mafia, no? Like, you strangle people, no? And I'm just like, no, why would you think I've been to prison? Just because, I don't know, like, you know, because I have long hair, I've been to prison. But that one was not, I never really took that one as race until she looks over at me one day, because we were friends, and she goes, oh, I really like walking with you. I have my own big scary nigger to protect me. And I was like, no, you don't. like, you know? So, you know, you never know really what people are thinking. And a lot of times, I feel like it's very important that I, like, go out of my way to represent African Americans in a very good light, because I might be the only African American they ever meet, because I go way off the tourist trail, you know? And I remember I was with a Chinese kid, and he looks at me and goes, how come you never say, yo, yo, nigga, yo? And I told him, I was like, because we don't actually talk like that in America. Like, we don't all talk like that. Some people are close. I mean, I don't know if they're emulating the movies or if the movie's emulating them sometimes. But, you know, I was like, we don't all talk like that. So for me, it's important to be an ambassador for African Americans, as strange as that sounds, because, you know, I watched a video where they were in South Korea and they asked black people, they asked Korean people, what do they know about African Americans? And they said like the craziest stuff. One guy was like, oh, I know that they can beat you in basketball and you don't want to fight them because they might have a gun. And, you know, people say like all these crazy things to me. So I never really know what people are thinking. I want to, I guess, set a good example, because, you know, you never know what movies they've seen, and it's Hollywood that portrays it. And that's what's interesting to me. Like, one guy, he said to me, he goes, so you don't like to be called a nigger? I said, no. He says, but it's okay to call you black. I said, yes. He says, well, I don't understand. When I watch a movie, you say, hey, nigga, yo, nigga, my nigga. But if someone calls you black, you say, why I gotta be black? So I was like, well, I'll be damned. Like, that was such a light bulb moment for me, because I never really realized how much of an impression people around the world are getting. Because, I mean, Hollywood movies are everywhere. And what's really crazy is the American hip hop. I was in a mall in Uruguay. And this mall, not a mall, sorry, it was in a grocery store. And it was surrounded by these 80-year-old ladies, like, pushing shopping carts. And there was a rap song playing on the speaker. And it was like a surreal moment, the juxtaposition of like American hip hop and like 80-year-old women that don't even speak English pushing around shopping carts. And so that's the whole thing, is I've had some really good experiences because of people curious about the African American culture. But, you know, I realized that the vast majority of the world is extremely ignorant about race and about the fact that, you know, African Americans are American. You know, that's a common problem in China. Like, if you go, like, you want to teach English in China, they actually will have in the ads looking for a white English-speaking teacher, because they don't consider African Americans to be Americans. Like, we are from Africa. They want a real American that actually speaks English. So it's pretty, it's pretty eye-opening sometimes, some of the things I hear people say. Like, I could probably give examples all day, but especially when you start talking about police officers, all the debates that we have on social media, the world is watching, you know? So, I actually saw a whole video about in Korea, because they actually were, you know, part of Black Panther was filmed in Korea. And Koreans, no offense to my Korean friends, but in Korea, they're literally the most ignorant I've ever met when it comes to race. You know, and not bad people. They've just been misinformed, you know? So it was really interesting to watch this video, where they were interviewing these Korean people about how the movie has changed their perspective. And shockingly, one movie had completely changed everything they thought about black people. They're like, oh, now we think they're cool, and some of them are nice, and they're funny, and I'm just like, we were all that before you saw that movie, you know? So, I don't know, it's just, representation is important. I don't even know really what my whole point is. I just kind of wanted to have this conversation because I want to know your opinion, you know? With your race, have you experienced anything while traveling? Do you have any questions about the way people act? And I want to know, like, if you believe that it's all in our imagination and that it is what we make it, or like, do you recognize the fact that Hollywood has a huge effect on the way the whole world sees us? I mean, the world is watching, and when you're out there, you remember, you don't just represent yourself, you represent everything. You represent your country, you represent your race, you represent your age group, like, you represent everything when you're traveling. But drop a comment below, let me know what you think, and do the whole like and subscribe thing, and see you in the world.